I'm Dana Denha, and you're watching FYI. Earlier this year, the city asked the people to design a new flag that represents Ann Arbor. 5 finalists were chosen, and now it's the public's responsibility to help choose a flag that best fits the city's aesthetic. Visit a2gov.org and search Ann Arbor flag design now through June 28. Read the artist statement and vote for your favorite design to fly high above Ann Arbor. Stay tuned, and we'll be back with more in exactly 30 seconds. Ann Arbor is the place to get on your bike and ride with miles upon miles of bike lanes and many of them protected. Watch as cyclists show off their wheels at Bikeapalooza.
Today is our annual Bikeapalooza event. The DDA hosts it every year. It's to teach bikeway safety and to educate people about our downtown bikeways.
I love bikes and I love Ann Arbor, and I'm glad to see all the new bike lanes, protected bike lanes.
This is a way to educate people about how to use the bike lanes, bike safety, and just what to watch out for when riding your bike on the bikeways. We have different bike drills, and kids get a free t-shirt if they do the different bike drills. And we make little, bike boxes, turning boxes to learn how to turn.
I think bikes are just really important. I think that with this looming problem of climate change that everyone's so freaked out about, I feel like all the solutions are there. It's a cargo bike and it's a tricycle, meaning the 2 wheels in the front, so it's really stable. I have 2 little girls and I wanted to be able to bike around with them.
It's fun and it's an easy way of transportation, and it's not using your car. The less cars downtown, the better. Safer and good for the environment.
I love you, Ann Arbor. Mwah.
There's no better way to celebrate America's independence than watching bright lights bursting in the air. Before you put on your own fireworks display, there's some pertinent safety information. Learn about fireworks safety and laws in this month's City Roundup in 60.
Hi there, Mike Kennedy, Fire Chief for the City of Ann Arbor, here to talk about some safety measures for the upcoming July 4th holiday weekend. First, we want to remind everyone that fireworks can only be set off in the City of Ann Arbor between June 29th and July 4th between the hours of 11 a.m. and 11:45 p.m. Fireworks are not allowed to be set off in city parks, city right-of-way, streets, and you need to have permission if you were to go onto anyone's private property to set off fireworks. July 4th is the #1 holiday for emergency room visits for burns. So please, you do not want to spend your July 4th holiday in the emergency room. So please, please, please be careful. We recommend professional fireworks displays are the safest way to enjoy the holiday weekend. If you already use fireworks, make sure that you have a water source, either a bucket of water or a garden hose nearby. After you use fireworks, make sure that you soak those fireworks in a bucket of water for several hours before you throw them in a trash can. Here in Ann Arbor, we've had several fires where people put used fireworks in a trash can that set the trash can on fire, that then set a structure on fire. July 4th holiday is also the #1 holiday for lost pets. Please make sure that you have your pets on a good leash, or make sure that your pets are kept indoors, because you certainly don't want to have a pet get loose during this time period. You are responsible for any fire or damage that's created from any fireworks that you set off. And if a firework fails to go off, never look at it, never try to relight it. please just throw it in a bucket of water, let it soak for a couple hours, and then throw it away. We hope these tips will help ensure that you have a happy and safe July 4th holiday. Thank you.
We all look to the skies when we hear the roar of an aircraft, big or small. But what if you were on one of those airplanes, or learning about Michigan's unique history of aeronautics, or maybe being up close and personal with a variety of different aircrafts and pilots? The Michigan Flight Museum has all that and so much more. Joining me is Kevin Walsh, President and CEO of the Michigan Flight Museum. Welcome back to the show, Kevin.
Thank you. Pleasure to be here, David.
So, one of the big things we're talking about today is the Michigan Flight Museum is the new name of the Yankee Air Museum. Can you explain sort of the history of the Yankee Air Museum and why the change in name in 2024?
Yeah, absolutely. In 1981, the museum got together and like most aviation museums, founded by a group of aviation enthusiasts, they put together a nonprofit application. They sent it to the IRS and they came up with a name. And we've embodied that name for 43 years, the Yankee Air Museum. In like any business, there's a time to refresh and there's a time to rebrand. And things change and consumers change, and how consumers find us, how consumers look for us. All those type of things went into play in what is the new name. So Michigan Flight Museum Air Adventures is obviously the final product, but it wasn't a quick decision, quick meeting. It was years of looking at how people search for our type of events, how people search for our type of experiences, and figuring out, what's going to resonate with newer generations, to be honest with you, because we have our established clientele, we have our staunch supporters, and obviously we don't want to move away from them, but we have to start attracting younger generations and people that don't know about us. We live in a massive Metro Detroit area, suburb area, and it's time to start drawing in even more people. So we went through that very, very detailed process, and again, nothing shocking. People like flight versus air. People like museum, so you stick with museum. And really, the Yankee name has nothing wrong with it. It was more of just, what did it represent? And really, Michigan. We're in Michigan. We're Michigan's Flight Museum, and it sort of just naturally evolved. To be honest with you, it wasn't anything too major in those steps to get there.
Yeah, I think as you mentioned, getting younger people to come, they might question why it is Yankee, and having it just be a Michigan thing doesn't make you question the name of it so much.
Right, exactly. And again, Yankee Air Museum has served us very well for 43 years. We've embraced it. We've rebranded its logo many times within that time period. But again, looking ahead, it was part of a 5-year strategic plan too. It wasn't, again, off the cuff, some idea, some random committee meeting. This is all part of the strategy of moving forward of really identifying who we are now and also who we're going to be in the future too.
Yeah, I think it's interesting to talk about these things where I think in the past, maybe people just automatically thought, like, as you hit a certain age, you might be interested in sports or whatever it might be. But I think that younger generations than you and I are totally different, and you don't know what they're into. They're not automatically going to be into this or that. And then just having something just as clear as changing your name to something that really represents who you are, it would bring in those people.
Yeah, you hit it right on the head. Is really the next group of essential customers and clients they're not nerds like me. I'm a nerd. I'm a dork. I'm an aviation guy. You can name it anything. I'll figure it out, and I'll go to it because it's aviation. But you have to be a lot more specific, and we really are focusing more on experiences here now versus just a museum itself. From the standpoint of, we do more than just put a plane and place a placard. That's not what we do. I want to inspire people here. We want to obviously educate. We want to preserve, but we also want to walk away with these experiential moments, and that's what we're continually evolving into, is more and more experiential moments. So when people come here, they're like, you don't have to love aviation. This is just an experience. It's a cultural institution that has experiences, and obviously they're aviation focused.
I will agree. I'm not an aviation nerd like you dub yourself, but
Yeah,
every time I've been to that museum for something, it's something that I remember forever. It's like just a memorable experience
yeah,
to be there. And even if it is just going around the museum and seeing the exhibits,
yeah,
you're learning stuff about things you had no
yeah,
idea
yeah,
before. But like you said, it is like a very, you guys are giving people memorable experiences that they will never forget. They'll like tell their grandkids about it
yeah,
in
yeah.
30 years or whatever, you know?
Yeah, and that's the whole point is we want people to develop core memories here. And we want those experiences to spread amongst the families, and people come back with family members to experience it also. But it is a lot of what we do here. You go for a helicopter ride, you go for a World War II bomber ride, uh, they're visceral. They are just a visceral, and there's nothing at all like it anywhere. And that's what's exciting. And really, when we started to look at the name, we were like, we are a flight museum. We fly here. There's lots of aviation museums where you can go and look at things in static configuration, but we are very different. So that's one of the things we embodied in that rebranding was like, hey, you know what? We're the museum we come to fly.
Well, and I don't know if people realize how lucky they are to have the Michigan Flight Museum so close that you can experience this stuff. What is it? You do flights from May till October or something
Yep.
like that?
Yeah, exactly. On our vintage historic aircraft client, historic aircraft flying collection, we do all sorts of what we call air adventures, and they're rides in these vintage airplanes. And again, like I said, it's a visceral experience to roll down the runway and not, you get in a commercial airliner, everything is insulated and climate controlled, and and that's wonderful. But if you want to see the way it was, it is very different when you've got skin the thickness of a quarter, no insulation. You have ear protection on because of the loudness of the engine. You can smell it. You can at times taste it. It's just amazing. But again, it's one of those things where you get off in the aircraft, and you just can't get that. A roller coaster doesn't give you that. Going for a car ride doesn't give you that. Even a vintage car, it is something that's just really, really different. And we're very excited each and every day to present that, because we know that it takes a lot of hard work, and it'd be a lot easier to park them all and have people just look at them. But our team is dedicated to keep them in the air.
Yeah, I'm sure it takes a world of maintenance to keep those things flying year after year. Yeah.
It does, and a lot of money too. And a lot of manpower and a lot of money to keep them flying.
One of the other things I really love about the museum, I can't say enough good stuff about it, but you guys really believe in history and you will bring people back. Like, for instance, I don't know if it was last year or the year before, we did a story on the Women Answer the Call exhibit that's a permanent
Mhm.
exhibit at the museum. And you
Yeah.
brought all these Rosie the Riveters, which we don't know how much longer we're going to have Rosies around. And this is like something that you at the museum do, and it's so special to have these moments with these
Yeah.
people that are our history.
Yeah. You just hit it right on the head. Is that the World War II generation? They're definitely in their sunset years. Any moment we have with them is incredibly special. And in our particular case with Women Answer the Call in that exhibit, that was an opportunity. We've honored veterans for many, many, many years. The, to embrace those that were home front workers, because again, there was no battle fought here in Michigan, but a war was won here in Michigan, and it was won here at Willow Run. And there's no way we could have done what we did in World War II without the home front. So it's such a critical story. And honestly, the Rosies deserve the spotlight as much as anyone else in the World War II effort, because they were part of winning World War II and defeating an Axis that was in the world. So multiple theaters of operation, and so for us it's a very emotional time to have actual Rosie the Riveters here and have an exhibit that's dedicated, that will live on and tell their story. Even after they're gone, that's not going away here, because really it also is it's an inspiration story. It's an empowerment story. It was women were introduced to the industrial workplace at that point, and that was very different. That was not normal.
Honestly, if it weren't for Rosie's, would I be working today? You don't know what the trajectory of the future for women would be if it
Right.
weren't for those Rosie's getting into those factory jobs and helping America.
Correct. And after the families were raised, because that's what happened, the Rosies will tell you firsthand that everyone went back home. The war had ended. They raised the families, but after that, the women that were in that complex and working on the home front enjoyed work and enjoyed earning a paycheck and enjoyed going somewhere and having a social environment in a work environment. And it was a natural flow. Like you said, it was a social social shift really in society at that point. And in the 60s, etc. And you have the women's movement, but you have much more to it. It was just a desire to go back into the workplace. And I said it just that change in the 40s, obviously it had a huge impact in the 60s and the 70s, of women in work environments of all different types. So it's exciting. It's exciting that you think about it. It's a cultural shift that occurred. You never want to, war is something that's obviously not a positive thing, but in this case, when you look at what happened on the home front, it's very empowering what happened with women in the industrial workplace. It's amazing. It's awesome.
Yeah, it really is. Are there any other things on view at the museum that you'd like to mention that people can come check out?
Yeah, so the museum, besides the historic flying aircraft collection and obviously the museum itself, we have so many different special events through the year. And we encourage people to go on our website, look at all the different events. And there small events to big events. You have everything from historic presentation night, so the first Wednesday of every night, every month here at the museum. And these excellent speakers and presentations, all the way up to the marquee event, the Thunder Over Michigan Air Show. But there's all sorts of events that we're doing throughout the year, special days at the museum. Check it out at miflightmuseum.org.
Oh, well, you mentioned Thunder Over Michigan. It's coming up. It used to be in August, but now it's in July, right?
Yes, it is. It is. We actually moved it in July to give people more opportunity. We found that a lot of times in August, just full transparency, people are getting their last vacations in. And it became kind of a conflict mid-August, and people are trying to squeeze in those last moments of summer. And they had to choose between mid-July. We found more people were available, and we said, okay, well, let's shift it there. We do bounce around on the calendar. Also, if the Thunderbirds or the United States Navy Blue Angels, they want to come and they can only come on a certain date, well, we're going to move it to that too. So we're fairly fluid over our now 26th year we're entering into. So we've been all over the calendar, and next year we'll probably move again.
So you can go online right now and get tickets for that event.
Absolutely. Yep. And again, at miflightmuseum.org, or you can also go to thunderovermichigan.org. Both will take you there for tickets for the event. We have our Wings and Wheels event coming up on June 22nd here at the museum. We're also hosting another air show on the west side of Michigan, Wings Over Muskegon. That's another product of the Michigan Flight Museum. We're busy. We're constantly doing things and getting out there and making outreach part of what we do.
Yeah, it's amazing. Even thinking about as a child, I used to go to the Selfridge Air Show, and I still remember those days. I have a picture on my fridge of us all in an army tank, like holding bazookas and stuff. It's so funny.
It's the only conduit at times to aviation is air shows and aviation events. You can't get close to aviation due to security concerns today. Back in the 70s, the 80s, things were a little bit more open. You could actually just walk on an airport. There was no fencing at a lot of airports. But it is the only conduit now is to in particular for our military members. members, for those that serve our country. This is the only time to get to actually meet and greet with the men and women who are serving our nation right beside the equipment that they operate. There's no other time of year that you can do that. And of course, there's all these incredible, very talented aviators that go along with them too, that you get to meet and see. And it's only once a year.
Yeah, there really is something so cool about being able to talk to the pilots, especially when you're talking about like the Blue Angels and the Thunderbirds. And oh my gosh, those people that go on top of the plane that do like the, that's like insane to me. I can't even imagine like having the cojones to do something
Yeah,
like
right.
that.
That's some sort of genetic defect that I don't have. You don't have either. But no, they're super, super talented folks, and it's incredible what people are inspired by, what they're called to do. It's just amazing, and we're glad they're out there doing it because it's so entertaining, but yet safe. That's a big thing that within the air show community. And when you look at a wing walker, the rehearsals that they go through, and the safety procedures and the communication procedures, and it is a very choreographed, just like the Blue Angels. Everything is to the second, very choreographed. Nothing is off the cuff. Nothing's wild. Nothing. It is absolutely 100%. And that's all part of safety, is to be standardized. And in aviation, standardization equals safety.
There, you can be a member of the Michigan Flight Museum. What are the benefits to having a membership?
Yeah, so you get free admission to the museum, you get free admission to some events, you get discount on other events, you get admission to the historic presentation nights. Also, you become part of a select group, the ASTC, which is American Science Technology Centers. If you go on their website as a member, it will show you all the different museums around the nation you can go to for free. By being a museum member here, you're a museum member of ASTC, which gives you free admission. So if you're in Idaho, you can look at a list of museums and cultural institutions in Idaho that also accept ASTC member-based organizations like ours, and you're able to go right there and visit other cultural institutions out of state.
Well, Kevin, we're just about out of time, and you're obviously very passionate about flight and the Michigan Flight Museum. Why should people frequent the museum and the many events, especially this time of year? This is like when everything's happening.
Right, right. This is exciting time right now, but we're also constantly refreshing the museum. We're constantly doing new exhibits, curating the collection is what we call it. And it never stops. It never stops with the flying collection. It never stops with the static collection. It never stops with the exhibits. And it doesn't stop with the events either. So there's something always going on, always fun, and it's always made for everyone. There isn't anything that is specific to any demographic or age group or anything like that. We're here, and everything that we do is for everyone, and it's just an amazing opportunity to be educated, inspired, and just have a fun time.
Well, thank you so much for being on the show, Kevin. I appreciate how passionate you really are about this. It's a great conversation to have, and I think that it really excites people to get to the Michigan Flight Museum.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
For more on this and other programs, visit a2gov.org/CTN. Visit youtube.com/CTN Ann Arbor to see all that we have to offer. And remember to like, subscribe, and ring that notification. Thanks for watching, and tune in next time to FYI.